Hello, welcome to the Daily Bible Podcast. My name is William Hemsworth. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day so far. Well, we're continuing on in Matthew chapter 20 today. We're going to look at verses 20 through 22. And my apologies for no music. Again, this is one of those ones I'm doing in my car. Sometimes my schedule gets a little crazy, and I don't always have time to hop in the studio at home, but I want to get this to you on a daily basis. So again, Matthew chapter 20, verses 20 through 22 say, Then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came up to him with her sons, and kneeling before him, she asked him for something. And he said to her, What do you want? She said to him, Command that these two sons of mine may sit at your right hand and one at your left in your kingdom. But Jesus answered, You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the chalice that I am to drink? They said to him, We are able. So we see James and John here, who are the sons of Zebedee, coming up with their mom and asking for a special privilege. They're asking to be honored above the other disciples and to sit at the right and left hand of Jesus in the kingdom of heaven. And no doubt these guys were important in the early church. I mean, they were one of the disciples. They went around and evangelized. But they're asking for something that not even Peter was going to get. They were asking for this special honor. And yeah, these two were part of that inner circle. You know, Jesus had a small inner circle. He had the disciples, then he had even a smaller inner circle, which was Peter, James, and John, and here's two of them. And Jesus flat out asked, you don't know what you're asking. You really don't know what you're asking here. Can you drink of the chalice I'm going to drink? Now this is interesting because it's a, excuse me, this term here is an Old Testament metaphor that was used to describe the wrath of God that was poured upon sinners, poured upon the wicked. And here Jesus used it to talk about his passion, what he's going to go through on the cross. You know, with the beating, the crucifixion, everything else. And he tells the two of them, are you able to withstand this? Are you able to drink of what I'm going to drink? And they say they are. Now, that was partially fulfilled. James was martyred, and we see that in Acts chapter 12. He was he was in Jerusalem. He was killed. We see that in the book of Acts. And of course, John, most scholars say wrote, the Gospel of John, Revelation. He actually died a natural death. He lived in old age and died in exile. So that was a different way of partaking in that chalice that Jesus had, because he suffered. He saw people die. There was actually an attempt on his life, but he lived it. He was actually poisoned at one point, but he lived through it. But he was exiled. He died in exile. Very lonely on the Isle of Patmos, which is not a very nice place to live. Just look up some pictures. Anyway, we're all called at some point to partake in this chalice, so to speak. So we just talked about what Jesus meant with the two disciples. What does it mean for us today? You see, there's going to come a time where we are going to be called to stand up for the faith. Are we going to be faithful in that? Because it may mean losing our lives. It may mean losing family. It may mean losing employment, whatever the case is. Are we going to be able to drink from that chalice? I think that's a very appropriate question for all of us to ask ourselves. Because I think most of us will say that, yes, I'm totally able to do this. Lord, no problem. But when that situation comes up, you see situations, it's a little different. We're faced with it now. We had that fight or flight response. So let's honestly ask ourselves, if this were to happen to us, would we be willing to do that? And if we're not sure, we need to ask going to the Lord in prayer and continue to ask for that courage to be able to do so. God bless you. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Daily Bible Podcast. I will catch you tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great day. Take care. God bless.